Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of the Brotherhood. Today I'm being joined by some of the best guys that I know, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them as well. Today our topic is all about fatherhood, and so we've got fathers from different stages of life. I think we need to start with the newest fathers in the room, and so why don't we go with Pastor Logan?
Well, I am Pastor Logan. My wife, I found out that she was pregnant. She still is pregnant, but found out last fall. And our first son, Waylon, is due to be here.
Everything.
Yeah, we
Ahead of the game.
we had a list of like 10 names like for 2 years. So she picked the name. She's the boss. So, so he'll be with us in June. June 22nd is when she is due, and I am both excited, terrified. Like It's the crazy. When people ask, I always at church, it's like, oh yeah, I'm super pumped. But then I think it keeps me up most nights a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
Right, sure.
But yeah, that's where we're at. So.
Yeah, so I'm Pastor Adam, and I found out that Abby was pregnant 2 weeks to launch.
Wow.
So it was early September,
crazy.
bro.
Oh,
when she told me, I said, I just cannot process anything else. And so our daughter is scheduled, because Abby's scheduled to be induced on April 15th now. And so that's real soon, 4 weeks from when this is getting filmed.
Little Julia. No.
Nope. So Maggie Rose.
Maggie
We've got a
Rose.
name for
Have
her.
you told people yet? Is this the first time?
No, we've told people from
Okay.
baby showers and all
I
that.
thought we were special.
Yes.
So my name is Jordan. I'm out in Alexandria. My wife and I, we have 5 kids. The first one is 8 years old, and we have a 7-year-old, and then a 6-year-old, and then a 2.5-year-old, and then a 2-month-old. Wow. So yeah. So
put in the
lots
work,
of
man.
lots of gray hair. The Bible says
Literally.
it's wisdom. I'll cling to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
What about you, brother?
We have 3, and ours are a little bit older. We have a 13-year-old, so we have a teenager now.
Wow.
Wow.
And an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and we are done. By God's grace and my planning.
Okay.
We're done for that.
More than I need to know about.
Yeah,
COVID,
but it's fine. So
That's what we do on the Brotherhood. We keep it real.
that's true.
Keep it 100. Well, for you guys that are about to be dads for the first time, what are some things? You talked a little bit about some fears that you have, some sleepless nights. What are some of those things that are keeping you up at night?
We throughout all the content we've been producing, I think one of the themes that's kind of come up is this comparison. And my dad drove an hour and a half to work every day, to and from into the city. And he just worked his tail off to provide for my family. My mom stayed home with us for like 10 years. And just trying to compare to that. Like my dad has skills, and he had a job and he made more money than I make. And so it's kind of hard because he was always also present, and I think a lot of the last 10 years of my life really have been just the grind. Right? Of just trying to be present and trying to make a career and create this path that I've really given almost everything to. Like I have my marriage and then my family, but then it's like this job and it's ministry and stuff. And it's kind of like the lines get blurred all the time. Yes. And so that was a huge source of fear for me. Is just like I was driving home the other week, and this question popped in my head is like, I was thinking through the excuses that Elizabeth would have to make to Waylon on my behalf. Wow. Oh, well, your dad he can't be at your soccer game today because the church had an event. Or, oh man, your dad, when he gets home, he has to lay on the couch. He can't play Legos with you. He can't do these things because he just gives all of himself to, his 9 to 5 or whatever that may be. And it really sparks like this motivation to make some changes and to create healthier boundaries and stuff. And I'm not perfect, I still struggle with that. And the energy thing and working out and trying to get healthy to chase a little one around, because I've watched you chase your kids around this week, especially, I want to be present, and I want to be someone that my son looks up to, because I looked up to my dad.
That's real
You
awesome.
know?
Yeah, that's good.
So
What about you, Adam?
I think in this process, like the crazy thing that I'm preparing for is the fact that like this kid just comes out and you bring it home and you just got to take care of it forever. Like there's no instruction
There's a
manual.
manual they give
Like,
you.
yeah,
Goodness.
I've just been told that there's moments where like from people at the KG campus that they brought their first kid home, put him on the bed, ordered a pizza, and then just said, "What do we do? What do we do?"
Yeah.
But I think there's been a lot of excitement going into that, but there is a lot of that anxiety at times. And I think for me, similar to what Logan was talking about, I bear the weight of responsibility a lot on myself with relationships, and specifically because so much of my identity has been wrapped up in being a student over the last 6 years, and Abby was working,
Especially
so I
a
could do
student
my-
at an Ivy League
Bro.
institution
Yeah.
like Princeton.
shout out Princeton, not sponsored. So
I know the counter goes up, bro, of jokes. And what was I saying?
student the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so for literally 3 years, Abby and I are coming up on 4 years of marriage. And for 3 of those years, Abby was working a job she hated for 3 years so I could chase my dream.
Wow.
And now that I'm in ministry working and the roles switch and she's doing a lot of her dream, for her, she wants to work in nonprofit world and she's at a community college now. But a lot of her dream has been to be a mom. And so like as she swaps to that role and I am going to be more of the provider, quote unquote, and bear that responsibility, I just feel that a lot more. And so I can feel that pressure coming to not only be there for her in the different seasons and rhythms and hormones of 8-month, 9-month of pregnancy, but then everything that comes after as a dad. So.
Yeah. All right. It's
Yeah.
been a little while, but take
Yeah,
us
no,
back to the first time.
Okay, no, I remember. I mean, I
The
remember.
first time you had a child.
Okay, all right.
I
Okay.
want to go back to
Okay,
the,
all right, no
never
problem.
mind.
Yeah, so
Ample
yeah, Kai was born, and I was excited. We wanted to have kids. We were planning for it. You know, we were praying, and I had that moment come over me where I was like, okay, well, I have to have everything in line. I have to have everything in row and financially. And I was working. You know, we were doing okay. I mean, we were doing fine. You know, not obviously where you think you're going to be when you're younger. You're like, I'm going to have everything figured out. We were not there.
Yeah.
I was still living paycheck to paycheck. But I had that moment where I was like, well, everything has to be figured out. And I went to the gym for a while. You've done exceptionally better than I did because I got a membership to the gym and it just paid $60 a month. I never went. Like, sorry, so we're still paying it off, I think. But so I had that moment of like I got to be there. But then just life happens and things get busy, and I was so excited to have I know I was gonna have a boy, so excited to have a boy, and kind of the heir to the throne. I was excited about that. And then he was born, and I remember that moment, driving home with your firstborn. You leave the hospital, and you're like, wait, you nurses are not coming with us? Like, hold on, like how much do you need? Like, I can buy you for 30 minutes, that's it. But like driving home, I've never, I'm glad I took driver's ed because 10 and 2, I was going 10 under the speed limit. Like, is everything good back there? Everything good? So your whole life is so wrapped around just keeping this child alive. But I remember so many nights, my wife, she's a rock star. All you guys have amazing wives. And just me, it was so much just full of prayer because growing up, I worked with kids my whole life. I did preschool and kindergarten and elementary, middle school, high school. I could do those kids. But newborns, I had no idea what to do. So I was freaked out. Mm-hmm. And still, we just had our 5th baby, and I'm still kind of I'll still change diapers and things, but I don't do the newborn thing well. But my wife, she just went above and beyond and was, just handled taking care of him. And I was able to just really kind of step back and just pray. Just praying okay, I'm gonna obviously keep him safe, be with my wife. There were some stressful nights. Kai, he was the best son in the world, and still is. I mean, all my kids are great, but he was great. He'd be like, all right, okay, sure, I'm gonna sleep through the night so you guys can get some sleep. He was saying this. He didn't really say it. He kind of just grunted. I know what he meant. So he was good. He was good in that way. But then Xander came, and it just after our first one, we were like, okay, we got this. We can write a parenting book. We're just, it's easy, guys. I don't understand why I'm stressing out. Then Xander came. Oh, heaven's sakes, love the boy, but it was very different. Very, very different.
I thought you were about to cuss.
Your preacher cuss.
That was
heaven's
sakes. That was so good.
Yes. He came, it was completely different. And I remember thinking like that was when I really stressed out was with the second one because it wasn't easy. Like the first one was easy.
Totally
the
different.
Totally different. And I was like, well, what in the world? He's crying. You know, we had to have a system. My wife would take care of him. You know, I was working during the day, and I'd come home, and you know, we're still loving Kai, but then we have Xander. You know, 16 months later, and he's crying and screaming. And I remember like we're praying, holding him, and you're just like, well, this kid will not stop crying. And obviously, he had some like colic issues and some issues that weren't his fault. It wasn't like he was acting out. But you're just like, why won't you just listen to me, son? Like, you just be quiet, you know. But so there were some nights.
You put your hand on his head and just
I
pray.
did. I legit prayed over my kid as I'm holding him, like, please, Lord, like for me, for my sanity, for him, for my wife. But there were nights when my wife and I, like, we would like whatever we say to each other from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., like throw it out the window because we were just like stressed and it was a stressful time. But my wife is just such a rock star. She's able to like know that and like step in because. If I had to do it on my own, like I would mess up and still continue to do so. Yeah. But it was just crazy how different the kids were.
we had similar experiences between our first two were a walk in the park, but then our son came along and
the boy was the harder one.
Yeah,
Okay.
he completely flipped everything upside down. But so let me take you back to our first one. We're 23. I'm a college dropout. My wife is interning in DC.
Oh wow!
And she's 8 months pregnant. And then I get called up on my job to go out to Seattle, Washington.
Pretty close.
And I was there. Yeah.
It's close. Yeah.
And I would be there for the next 9 months straight.
Oh my goodness!
And let me go back even further. When she first
I was
told
born
me,
on a cold night.
not much different from today. No, but it was when she told me that she was pregnant. I locked myself in my room for almost 3 days.
Wow.
Literally, like I had my grandparents raised me. They were great people. Raised me in the church. I wasn't a believer and all that. And that actually jump-started my relationship with God.
Wow.
Toya had started going to church, but, you know, I was only going just to be with her. And when she told me that she was pregnant, it shattered every image that I had tried to put out there. Sure. You know? And so when I heard, it was like in the movies, it was slow motion. She was like, hey, I got something to tell you.
You know by that tone.
I'm pregnant.
Like, yeah.
And then these are my confessions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I was like, by who?
Yeah.
We can work through this.
But yeah, literally, it was like 3 days went by, and I didn't talk to her. I was a jerk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a jerk.
Wow.
I like went in my room, didn't talk to her, and I had to process all of it. And I'm processing, my parents are going to kill me. God's ashamed of me. Like there was just all these emotions. I'm a dropout. How am I going to support this kid?
Yeah.
You know, all that sort of stuff. And then the last thing that actually I think was probably the best thing that I thought of in the moment was, well, you need to go ahead and make a commitment and do this right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Praise God, man.
it was like from there things started picking up. Like my thought patterns started to change. And it's funny how like God will use you know, something that in the moment it feels like it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he uses it to transform us. I don't think I would have grown up
Sure.
for several more years had that not happened.
Yeah.
You know. And it's kind of like God, beauty for ashes. Like in that moment, that's what I'm going to do for you.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I'll take you a little bit later because you two have kids. This is gonna make me sound like a terrible person, but like there is a legitimate fear that I have of like not liking my kid.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to,
okay.
and that sounds terrible, and I'm not trying to be funny, but like, I know how I was, right? And like, and I just, okay, so she had this appointment the other day, and she has to drink, she has to drink a ton of water, right? Before they go in, they have to get pictures of the baby and stuff like that. And the nurse was apologizing to Elizabeth because my baby Waylon, right, would not sit still. He just, last picture took them 15 minutes, right? And this is how I know that this is my kid. Like, I know that this is my son, because on the last picture, that little dude straightened up his spine and then put his thumb up in the picture. in the womb. I'm not kidding.
I thought he was going to be like,
I can't believe what you did.
maybe X-ray.
No, but I'm serious. But like in that moment, I'm just, and he's been like keeping her up at night and like all of the, like I already kind of like, I'm already tired of it.
Sure.
Like, because when
sure.
he wiggles, she moves, and when she moves, I wake up and like, I'm like, man, is this how this is gonna be? And that adds to the anxiety and the fear, and it's like, man, like you can't exchange him for someone like a better model, right? And so like I actually, and like I get the newborn thing that's going to be learning and stuff, but like I actually fear like what happens if like personality wise or like just what the interest wise, like what if I don't have a lot in common with my kid? Like what do you, I know I'm gonna love him, right? But I don't want to love this human I'm responsible for out of obligation. And so if either of you like dealt with that, like that might be super personal. But,
I have a favorite child.
Okay, bet. So do I. I only have the one right now.
Yeah, I have 3.
Oh, okay.
So it's not quite as diplomatic there.
Yeah.
But I think that's natural, man.
Okay.
To be honest, you love them, and you're going to have this real love that you've never actually felt before for them. But at the same time, they're going to challenge you in ways that you just can't prepare for. And like, I love my kids, but how do I put this? I'll be a little bit transparent here. I don't always see myself as a great father because I haven't developed the same type of love that my wife has for the kids.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I love them in my own way, but my thoughts and my effort and energy often goes more into my marital relationship
Okay.
than it does towards the kids, and I sometimes feel guilt about that.
Gotcha.
Sure.
So
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's a very real fear. I have never, like beforehand, I didn't really think that. But living it out, like there are times where I love all my kids, and I have favorite at certain days.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite, but at certain days, and Kara and I don't know, like we know which kid it is the same day. Like,
see, there's one I can bank on. There's one I know I'm going to be retired because of this child.
Okay.
The other 2, they haven't quite.
But one thing, I mean, just going back to God, as churchy as it is, but like
that's fine.
I know for us in our marriage, we give it to God
Pastors.
every day, every night. We talk, but like to piggyback what he's saying, I just focus on loving my spouse because a mother's love is, I mean, like there's father's love and then there's mother's love. That she just abounds in grace and mercy and things that like I would snap at. She handles, and just it's amazing to see my spouse, who she's become once becoming a mother. Like you'll see Elizabeth, she'll step up in ways that you never thought she could. I mean, you may think she can now, but like just seeing it happen, you're like, oh wow, I love this woman, and I'm so thankful. And that's God raising her up into being. Like, it's like, okay, good, because my inadequacies, like I was never able to step up, but yet she steps up for you, and like it's like, okay, I'm able to relax and just doing it as a team. And I know, like, investing in my marriage is the number one thing I can do as a father. For me, like, I love my kids. I hang out with them and play. I mean, I fall short, but, like, I make it a point for my kids to see me kiss my wife. I make it a point for, like, obviously we're not, like, making out in front of my kids, but, I make it a point.
You got 5.
I
wouldn't put it past.
that's true. But I make it a point for my boys to see how we interact. We argue healthily in front of our kids. Like we're not like yelling, we do the yelling stuff behind the doors, but and I want them to see how a father should be, a husband should be with his wife. And I just want to, I say it time and time again to my kids. I'm like, I love God more than anything, then I love your mother, and then I love you kids. Like I say it to them almost every day. It's kind of humorous to them because I'm always like, who loves you more than daddy? And they say God. And I'm like, all right, well, who do I love? Like God. I'm like, then who? Like mommy. Then like, who? Like us. Like, all right, cool. So they know,
awesome.
I just love my spouse. And so that's kind of against culture, but like that's how I feel I'm supposed to be as a man of God, just to love God, then my wife, then my kids.
I'll just say this to you guys. I mean, my hat goes off to both of you because the way you guys talk about your wives is so admirable and is a challenge to me to have to. I'm not
Not me.
saying
I
this
talk about
about-
Abby.
like a star, man.
Just
I'm only not saying that about you because I haven't spent as much
Because
time.
we're over the top. It's not sincere.
It's because we're heavy set. Okay, it's because you're eye candy.
It comes from, it's like, man, I got a dime piece and I'm this big. Are you kidding me? I wake up every day surprised. I look at her and then I look in the mirror and I'm just like, it is what it is.
Is it my money?
I
It can't
still
be my
got,
money.
I still got her fooled,
Pleasantly
man.
so.
Yeah.
Pleasantly.
So,
that's awesome.
But,
Yeah.
but seriously,
Yes, thanks, man.
there are a lot of guys out there that are married that they love their wives, but you don't hear them express that in public.
Sure.
And you guys are very open about your relationships and very generous with your comments towards your wives. And I mean that's inspiring for other men, but that's a great practice and foundation for your kids to see that.
Sure.
You know. And if I hung out more in King George, I'd be saying the same thing about Adam. But yeah, that's really cool to see.
Thank you.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So I'm trying
So
to
what
get
happens if you don't like your
advice.
spouse?
No, no. No, that's not it at all.
That's a very real
That's
thing.
not
It
it at
happens.
all.
almost
I'm
got me,
actually
Jordan.
worried about
You
the
almost got
opposite. So her not liking me, but
Yeah.
no,
No.
how like this is brotherhood, right? And so like how did the relationships with like your dudes or your core like the men in your life change after you became, because the way I view relationship, it's like a bandwidth or capacity. Like you only have so much to give, right? And we all know people that take probably more than they should. I mean, we work in ministry. We love you, but sometimes y'all stress us out. So, but we love you.
We love you.
So,
God
no.
loves you, so do we.
No, but how did you, because you're bringing in a new relationship and plus the responsibility of like the raising, like I'm not raising any of my friends. I can give advice and here and there, but it's like, no, I'm responsible for safety and raising. And so that has so much more capacity there than any of my other relationships. Like how did you balance that when you became a dad? Like what did that look like in your friendships and stuff?
I mean, I'll go first. Life is full of transitions. I don't know if you've already experienced this. You transition, you go to college, you transition from your friends in high school. You get out of college, you transition from your friends in college.
Yep.
You get engaged, you transition from your group. It's just, you get married, and it is what it is. It's just, I hate that phrase, it is what it is, but it totally is what it is. And that, like,
Just
you
say
get,
it
It's a
one
good
more time.
dad. It's a good dad
is-
phrase.
it is.
yeah,
It's-
it is what it is. So that's my answer. No, but just being with your spouse, I'm sure that you lost quote unquote friends because your capacity, like you said, we want to spend more time with her. You can't go and play video games like you used to want to, But that's a sacrifice you had to make because you love your spouse. In that same way, but you're still fine today, right? Like you feel fine. You maybe have the core group of friends. I mean, for us, Kara and I, we had a huge group of friends. Like, not to say like we were really popular, but we had lots of friends and we were hanging out with people. And then we started dating, and then people were like, "Oh, this is kind of awkward." And we're like, "No, we're still the same people." Like, we got engaged, and like, no, let's keep hanging out. People just kind of distance themselves. And so I know for our, like, it kind of prepared us because parenthood and like brotherhood and is one thing, but like becoming a father you'll feel that, but you've already kind of gone through different transitions in your life. But just focusing like, all right, well, this is my family, like the relationships that you look back on. Like, I have 3 guys that I'm really close with, and that's nothing from what in high school. If you would have said I had 3 close friends, they'd be like, that's horrible. Like, I have 3 guys that I've grown with, and those are my core group of guys, but just understanding that life is going to be different, but it's going to be okay because you're going to have a love for this child you never knew you could have. You're going to have a love for the spouse that supersedes every love you've ever experienced in your life. And that will be enough, obviously, with the love of the Holy Spirit you have, love of God. Those things like, all right, well, I'm good. And there will come a time when you're out of the trenches and you're like, where are my dudes at? And they'll be there, but it might not be the same ones you had, but that's okay because God may protect you because of the different life that they're living too.
Yeah, it's in insurance. You have times to opt in, and they're called major life events. And I can recall 3 of those major life events where my friendships got just kind of all wonky on me. One was when we said that we were having a baby. That was then a delineation from our friends that had kids already and those that didn't.
Yeah.
And so you notice there's just a separating. And it's nothing that's bad that happens or anything. It's just our responsibilities and our rhythms, our patterns of life change. And so you lose some friends in that regard. When we got married, that was another one. So we had single and married friends.
Yeah.
And you just gravitate, you start to have more in common with a certain group. And then the third one was when we became, for us, because all of this was kind of around the same time, was when we became Christians.
Yeah.
And honestly, I lost
Yeah.
a lot of friends at that point.
Yeah.
But gosh, preparing for fatherhood was something I guess I wasn't really ready for, but it was something that I needed to happen at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys a fun question. So I know you're about to have a boy, but
Yes.
you're going to have a girl.
Oh man.
And we both have girls. So imagine yourself maybe 16 years down the road.
Nope, not doing it.
You know where I'm going?
No,
Bro, I'm gonna be
And
40.
And
Holy
that
fuck.
girl brings home a guy for the first time. What's your response? You're
So,
closer than.
So I think about it almost daily.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why I had 4 boys to
You
protect
sit
her.
and polish your guns on the
so
porch.
to be honest, Kara and we joke about it, but like we talk about the importance of beauty and like how you're beauty, and that's not like how you look or certain things you do, and like she's 6, but, she's going on 15 sometimes, but we talk about. So my daughter is not going to be dumb. So she's not gonna go.
good.
That's awesome.
She's gonna be ready, and she has her brothers, which I'm thankful to God about as well. So so they'll go through the brothers before they go through dad.
Yeah.
And so if they get to dad, I'll be cool with it, because I'll know my daughter's raised right, and obviously I pray for discernment, and the Holy Spirit will give me discernment. If he shows up and I'm feeling it, I'll be like, hey, thanks for coming. See you later, buddy. See,
Your voice just changed. You became more Liam Neeson when you said,
Yes.
We've all seen Bad Boys, right?
Yes,
So,
that was
when he
my
shows up to the
inspiration.
door, I'll call him and be like, hey, we got, what was his name? Reginald or
Reggie.
Reggie. When Reggie comes to the door,
It didn't work because if you've
they
seen
got
Bad
married.
Boys 2, they got married.
I know. Okay, yeah, that's not a shameless plug. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm
yeah.
trying not to be that.
But my thing is, I'm
man.
not overthinking it, because I can very easily freak out and say, you're staying with me until you're 30, but just
I don't want
trust
that.
her.
Yeah.
what about you, man?
Bro, it's crazy. The first off, I'm freaked out because I think I'm 40 at that point in my life.
You're having a panic attack right now.
I think
Can we
I'm
get
40.
some water for Adam?
But the second thing is I already know how much. Okay, so the first thing is when
but
since
seriously.
Abby has been pregnant, she's not the crier. I'm the crier now. So I got all of her emotions from that. So I can only imagine me as a girl dad already.
He's bawling when she comes to the door with a guy.
Yeah,
What the
exactly.
heck is going on here? It's a weird house.
So I could just imagine what I'm gonna be like. I'm gonna be a mess, dude. Because I already love what this 2D outline of an ultrasound of what is in my wife's belly that I can imagine when she comes in the world, dude. I'm gonna be a mess.
It's exciting, man.
I'm such a girl dad. I know how bad you wanted a boy, dude. And I was so happy for
I
you.
wanted a boy
Yeah.
because
get
if
it.
I'm already so soft. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like I know no, but for real, like
yeah.
I like if I had a little girl, man, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like I'm hoping we'll have more kids, but maybe. So I don't know. It's a lot. So in this moment I can say that, but no, but it's crazy because we all know Robert, he just had they just had Nora a year ago, and like it's been completely different. Like I've watched him change. I've watched how he is. I took a picture of him yesterday of just he's laying on the couch in the green room,
that was cute.
and Nora is just laying on him looking at it, and it's just the love that he has for her has been so inspiring, but he's so much softer, because he has a little girl, and dude, and that's why I asked about friendships too, because I'm such an emotional person. I need people to like carry me sometimes. That's why I married Elizabeth, because a lot of the times like my emotions fluctuate so much that she is so stable and so peaceful that she like we're perfect for each other, because I'm so up and down. And like I think having a girl, my up and downs would have been like this, because there is my father just instilled that in me. There is just a difference between, you know, like on Valentine's Day, he used to get my sisters like presents and gifts and nothing for us, like me and my brother. He would just, and there was just a difference in the way he raised girls and the way he raised boys. And so like, I think God really blessed me with that. It's just like, look, like I'm gonna give you a boy first, and you guys are gonna figure this out before you're the softest human being on the face of the planet.
Before you just mush.
I'm just gonna be much. So, and
Daddy, can I have this?
yes. My wife's gonna kill me.
True.
So
You'll be like that with a boy too, bro.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So
It's your friendships are going to change though, man. Like that's
yeah.
that's something I could just say to you, like to prepare for that. They are. It's just a natural progression, natural rhythm.
But with that, it's exciting. I mean, just yes, you're kind of sad because of what used to be, maybe, but the potential. Because if you think about it, like your family, the families your family like we're friends with were your friends' parents. Like that, you know, like that's.
Yeah.
For me, like my friends' parents became friends. Like it wasn't like my dad's high school buddies that came over.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's true.
it's just like so like knowing my kids' parents are probably who like that's gonna be our community. Yeah. And that may be weird, but just understanding that and seeing the silver lining and saying, okay, this could be a great time for you know obviously not gonna preach to them every day, but just like meeting someone new and like the relationships that you're gonna be able to have because of who your kids are.
But it's like so like for me looking at it. Right, we are creatures of habit, and we cling to comfort, right? And my life right now, like it's extremely comfortable.
Sure.
I love my job.
Yeah.
I love all you guys. I love like we have a family here, like the team. You know, you guys are my best friends. Like, and it's super comfortable. You throw a baby in that, and things are going to change, and change is always uncomfortable, right?
Yeah,
and so like that. I get that God is so gracious, and this new season, we use the word seasons more than when people now.
I love
it's
it.
crazy. So
Everything.
I've heard the word
Ecclesiastes,
seasons
baby.
probably
Life
850 times in the last 3 days. But like I know that
true.
with this new chapter, switching it up, so like things are gonna change, and but at the same time, the wisdom that you guys have, having gone through that, like that's gonna be something that I need to cling to, because like. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I almost cussed there too. Like I don't, like I'm. There is just this level of fear that, and I know God's so good.
And that's
my
the
wife
weird
is
thing
great.
about the Bible. It's kind of frustrating too, because all you can't. There's not really a lot on fatherhood.
There's a lot of bad parents.
There's a lot of bad parents. Like don't do
really
this.
is.
Yeah.
Just focus. Yeah, it's I've read through it. And dating. There's nothing on dating either.
There's some stuff in there.
It's all
but
about
again,
it's all about loving God.
not
loving
great.
God, loving your spouse.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, I got one kind of final parting thing to say. How about we each give the best dad advice that we received, whether that was from our own father or from a father figure. Okay. What's the best dad advice that you've ever received? And if you guys need me to... it's funny, whatever it is.
I don't know if I should say it.
It's good. No, be real.
No,
All right.
I can't say
So
that.
I'll give mine since you got and let you guys process.
Gotta pray
the
about
it. So I was told if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're likely to be on the menu, and that's something that kind of stuck with me. So meaning work your way into leadership or positions of authority, because if you don't, you're likely going to be left out.
And I would say, for me, my dad, he was my best friend, still is, always was. My dad was a pastor as well, so I had tons of one-liners.
That's why you're so spiritual.
But
It's that lineage.
Yeah.
So he was very cognitive of teaching me things. But the thing, honestly, what he taught me, like one lesson I learned the most, was not what he verbally told me. It was just how he lived his life. Was what you're talking about. It was like, I'm fully invested here at work. And then you go home and like sometimes you're just like on the couch, kind of veg out. And like getting ahead of that, understanding that like give 100% here and then 100% at home, and then the Holy Spirit will do the rest. You know, like he lived that out. He was gone a lot. My dad traveled a ton for work, but I know he probably did, but I don't remember him missing my games. I don't remember him missing. I know he did. He had to have.
Sure.
But when he was there, he was fully present. And so that's advice for me is like, if you're with your kids, be fully present. Because even he would take me out every week. We'd go to McDonald's. You know, we'd eat lunch or eat breakfast, and he would be there with me. And he made it a point that I would recognize that he's with me, because not that he was bashing the people, but he wanted me to recognize that other dads are out there with their paper and the kids doing whatever they want. And now it's the cell phone and tablets.
That made me feel self-conscious.
Yeah, but
He looked right at you.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
No, okay. But, you know, like it's important. So like when I'm with my kids, I want to fully be there.
Yeah,
And so that was advice for me. It's just be wherever you are, be fully present.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dude.
Bro, okay, the first one I was thinking about was church people. Best advice was stay up north during delivery. So don't go south.
Yeah.
And
That's a whole new world. I'm telling you.
the one I actually want to share, bro.
Things that
He's
actually happen.
so
I'm
jumpy right now. I'm so nervous.
You opened the door. So
Bro, okay, so
You can be. I'll put my hand on your knee. That'll calm you down.
Yeah.
no, so the one that I actually want to talk
Really
about
awkward.
and do my best to talk about is I think for my dad, what's really hard is my parents' marriage relationship had a really ugly 6-year divorce. But even on the other side of that now, I can say that my relationship with my dad is better than it ever was. And I think the one thing through it that's been communicated to me is that my dad's always my biggest fan. I can go to him if I have financial questions, if I'm worried about that, and he's always kind of been there. Awesome. And so I think, like, one, I'm excited because he gets to be a granddad for the first time and gets to step into that fun role, but two, I get to then do some things different that I saw from my parents' marriage, but also get to walk into that with them in my life still. So which is good. Yeah.
That wasn't that bad.
Bro, I know. I'm a girl dad now though, so I was ready to cry.
Yeah.
I think the best advice, and I can't even think it was my dad that said this. And my dad,
profound.
No.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't in ministry. We talked about that, but he definitely pulled me aside and was just like, "You're gonna have to let the Holy Spirit make room and do what He needs to do." And I think, because he said, you love the church, you love Jesus, but you can't force that upon your son. You can do everything you can to raise them in the church and be fully present and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, and I think when I got saved in college, I was very forceful with the gospel. And I think, especially for people that I care a lot about, right? And so I think that's been the best advice, just to letting God do what He needs to do in my kids' life and being parents of prayer. And just because I know that my parents pray for me every single day. And I think that's really what made the difference in my life, and so, but not being forceful with it. I think that's it. So
It's good.
All right, guys. Well, hope you heard something inspiring today, something that you can apply. I think the biggest takeaway is just to be there. That's what every kid wants from their father, is just presence. That's the best present that you can give.
Hey.
You like what I did there?
Dad joke.
All right. Anyway, that's it for the Brotherhood. So
Episode 4 of the
we'll see you guys next time. Like, share, subscribe.
Oh